Charlie was beautiful. I remember him being the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, ever. And when people ask me the best days of my life, I'll say the first 3 days. You know, Charlie being born and the couple of days afterwards, I don't know. It's just being on cloud nine.
I think about it when I see him, when he looks at me in the eye. I remember about when that first time I held him. It was just, I couldn't imagine loving anybody, anything more than I did that little boy in that moment.
As Charlie grew older, the Stones noticed something different with Charlie's speech.
He said mama when he was about 9 months old, and then he just stopped saying it within a couple weeks.
He went from saying mama, dad, dad to just retreating and saying almost nothing at all.
Others picked up on this as well.
My mom is a special education administrator. She's worked with kids with special needs her entire lifetime. So my mom called me up and said, hey, you know, I'm going to need to have a conversation with you. And you're probably not going to like what I'm going to tell you, but I need you to hear it.
She felt like there were symptoms that Charlie was, you know, showing that he might be autistic, and I was livid with her. I was so mad at her for even thinking that he could be anything less than perfect.
That first probably month or so, I just spent just refusing to think that anything was wrong. But I trusted my mom's judgment. We ended up, you know, insisting that we get a referral. And then he was actually diagnosed officially when he was about 3. And
it was so scary, but honestly hearing it was kind of a relief, because it put so many things into perspective, and it opened up so many doors for us, and it was a way for me to embrace what was going on with him and move forward.
My son didn't change when the doctor said he was a certain way, or he had a certain, you know, disorder. It's just the services and the schools and the things available to him just opened up.
Charlie has since started therapy, with several visiting specialists helping him up to 30 hours each week.
He knows when to do the next activity by going to a board and placing it on the board.
And he plays for 10 minutes, and then they make him take it back and put it in the cup down at the bottom. He knows that's over. And the whole day is outlined right there, so he can see how much he has left and, you know, what's next.
Or even little things like waving, like knocking. The one that he's doing right now is, you know, we say, Charlie, do this, mwah. And then we're just working on little functional things. It's where he learned how to do a high five, which is probably one of the most exciting moments.
High five. Yeah.
In September, I remember when they got everything started, I didn't know he could do puzzles. I didn't know he would sit down and concentrate on a puzzle. I didn't know he had so many of the abilities. Like, I guess I didn't necessarily doubt him, but I just didn't understand what he was capable of, because he didn't have the language to express it. But when they put these puzzles in front of him, all of a sudden he was just no problem.
Charlie isn't the only one learning.
Charlie's just taught me how to look at the world. I mean, you know, he looks at lights, for example, and I see him look at the lights and he'll just squint, and he just smiles and, you know, just rocks his head back and forth.
It's like he appreciates every moment because he realizes it can't be replicated. And we don't even pause to notice stuff like that. And it's just like, if that's autism and it makes him happy, then cool.
If you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. And that's what I learned. Every kid is different. Autism really doesn't fit into this cookie cutter mold.
It's not a death sentence. It doesn't mean you're a bad parent. It doesn't mean your child's a bad child. It doesn't mean he's even flawed, really. He just looks at the world in a different way.
Although Charlie continues to improve, the Stones still face their own challenges.
What's tough about this disorder is a lot of people see it as a delay. I struggled for a long time being in public and just feeling like everybody was watching me and judging me, because, you know, when you have a child whose disability is invisible and people don't see what it is, they don't see him in a wheelchair, they don't see any kind of changes to his physical features, you just feel judged. You just feel like the entire world sees you as a terrible parent. And I had to fight through that and just finally get to a point where I said, you know what, screw it. I know what I'm doing, my son's happy.
It's a challenge and it's scary some days, but I would not want him to be any different. Not one day of the week. I want him to be some other child. I want him to talk to me. Any parent wants a child to talk to them, but I mean, even if he never does, he's the most amazing child I've ever seen.